Hi, I'm Michael Watley, and this is the video presentation for my master's project entitled Investigating the Applicability of Persuasive Technology Techniques to the Domain of Household Cleaning. The problem that this project aims to solve is that many people struggle to keep their living spaces sufficiently clean for many different reasons. The proposed solution is to leverage persuasive technology to develop a mobile application that helps users to stay on top of their household tasks. Requirements were derived indirectly from research which was based on persuasive systems design, or PSD, which is an analysis and design methodology that most notably defines 28 distinct kinds of persuasive techniques. Firstly, competitor persuasive cleaning apps were evaluated to determine which PSD techniques they used. And secondly, prospective users were surveyed to find out which PSD techniques are perceived to be the most effective in the domain of household cleaning. Requirements were derived based on the research artifacts, with a focus on ensuring mental well-being for prospective users, which was explored primarily in the literature review. The artifact was developed using React Native with Expo, and 13 of the 16 requirements were successfully implemented, including all of the highest priority requirements. I'll now provide a demonstration of the artifact. So this is the first screen that a new user would see when they open the app for the first time. This is the onboarding journey. So firstly, the app just asks the user to enter their name, and that doesn't have to be their legal name, it can be any name, so I'll just put Michael in this case. And then secondly, it says, "Hi Michael, let's list the rooms in your home." So the competitor analysis revealed that listing the rooms in a person's home and then having the ability to categorize tasks into different rooms was quite a common functionality, so it is present in this app too. For the sake of this, I will just put in, I'll do bedroom and bathroom. And you can see we've also got these X buttons and a reset button, so the user can undo their choices if they want to or undo it again. And then finally, this one is a little bit different. This is the notification time. And this time essentially determines when in the day notifications will arrive. So, for instance, you don't want them to arrive in the middle of the night. You might want them to arrive soon after you wake up, just so that it sets you up for the day, so you know which tasks are due on that day. So for argument's sake, let's just put 10 o'clock or something like that in here. And it says you're all set, so then it just tells you about how to get started and make your first task. So this is the to-do screen. This is essentially the home screen because it's the first screen that loads up for a user that's already finished onboarding. And that does conclude the onboarding process too, so it is quite quick and easy. But let's add a task to get started. So to add a task, cleaning task, we could do, for instance, clean the sink. And then, because we've got rooms set up, we can say this is in the bathroom. So that means you could have a sink in multiple rooms and you wouldn't have to have a different name for the task. You could say clean the sink and just have it in the bedroom, so then there'll be no confusion. If you want to differentiate between a once-over and a deep clean, and you've actually got the same task put down multiple times, one of them is just a once-over and the other one is like a detail clean, then you can differentiate between them by using this option. I'm just going to keep it standard for now. But the more important choice is between one-time task and repeating task. So a one-time task, when it's completed, it's just done. It disappears and that's it. But a repeating task, when you complete it, it actually reschedules itself. So we'll do a repeating task because we want to make sure that the sink is kept clean on a consistent basis. And then we've got a repeat frequency, so how often to repeat it? Well, we'll go 7 days. Then we've got the this task slider. So this essentially just asks you what is the current status of the task. So if we go for needs doing now, then it will be due today. Or if we go to was completed today, then it will be due in the full 7 days. And then optionally, you can also set a task duration. So that could be anything from 2 minutes to 2 hours. So for argument's sake, let's put it at maybe 12 minutes to clean the sink. This is the notification button, so remind me on the due date. And this field is for any notes as well, so you can put any extra details you want to incorporate into the task or any notes to yourself. And of course you could also write down the benefits of doing the task. That would help you to reframe it from a have-to task into more of a want-to task. So I'm just going to grab notes and then line return, just to show that it also accepts line returns and you can actually put quite a significant amount of text in there. And we can go schedule task. And then it appears here, due today, clean the sink. And then we can press the pencil icon to edit the task, or we can press the check icon to complete the task. So because this is a repeating task and we've said that it takes about 12 minutes to complete, we can go to the routine screen to see what that means on a daily, weekly and monthly basis. So because it's a weekly task, there is no daily time allocated to the cleaning routine, but it's a weekly task, so it's 12 minutes per week or 48 minutes per month. So you can see how if you added like a daily task, we could for instance add make the bed or something, a small task that happens on a daily basis. And we can see how quickly that adds up. So this is, we'll just put it at 2 minutes, which is actually the smallest amount of time you can allocate. And there we can see it actually goes straight up to nearly 2 hours a month. So just good for visualizing the extent of your cleaning routine. So let's say that we've completed clean the sink, so we can press the check icon here and mark it as completed, yes. And then it says, well done, you completed clean the sink. Now it is on the roadmap to improve this dialogue with an image or an animation or something just to make it a bit more rewarding for completing the task rather than just a flat, well done, you completed task name. And now that we've done it, it'll be due again in 7 days. So when it gets closer to the due date, it will appear on this screen again. But we can still get to it again. So if we go on history, we can see that we completed and rescheduled clean the sink. And so if we click on any of these tasks, you can actually access this details screen from any of the screens that I mentioned before, including 2 extra fields, so previously completed, how many times, last completed, today of course. And this gives you all the information you would need about the task, and of course a shortcut to edit it as well. So you can go back into this form and change anything if you realise it actually takes you a little bit longer to do. And of course you can delete the task as well if you no longer need it. And then finally we've got a very simple settings screen. So this mainly lets you edit all of the things that you set up during the onboarding process. So you can change the name. So if we want to go from Michael to something else, we can do, I don't know, Stephen. And when we go back into it, it'll save that changed name. We can edit the room name. So if bedroom is actually Steve's bedroom, so then we've maybe got multiple bedrooms belonging to multiple people. And edit notification time, so we can change that if we want to, set it to later on in the day or something. And then of course we've got an about page. And this is just a simple implementation of the real world field technique. So we can see developed by myself in this case. And if you click on this link, it goes to my GitHub page, which is just an example of verifiability. The display is a bit glitched on this Android emulator, but don't worry about that. But yeah, that gives you the information about the app and the version. And then of course we've got this clear all data facility as well, which is always helpful just in case the user wants to reset and start anew. So what you just saw there was an example of a due date notification. As you can see, it says, hey, username, task name is due today. And that's what it looks like on the Android platform. And that was done by scheduling a local notification using the Expo notifications library. And that wraps up the main functionality of the artifact. Some prospective users provided evaluative feedback about the artifact soon after its development. Participants identified a number of usability issues, things that weren't intuitive, particularly on the Add Task form, which is the screen with the most complex user interface. For an app to be persuasive, it must first be usable, and participants tended to praise the artifact for being simple, quick, and easy to navigate. Despite the issues that they identified, participants unanimously agreed that the artifact could indeed help people to stay on top of their household tasks. In terms of the process for completing the project, the use of sprints during the development of the artifact was particularly useful because it helps to split up what would otherwise have been very large tasks, such as implementing the whole artifact, could be split up into more manageable increments. The research preceding the development was primarily flawed by the ambiguous definitions of the PSD techniques, which tended to be vague or open to interpretation. The other key limitation was the short timescale for the project. Persuasiveness itself cannot be measured without conducting long-term testing to observe behaviour change. So the conclusions for both the requirement survey and the evaluation interviews were based only on perceived effectiveness. If this project were to be continued, then researchers should aim to determine the measured effectiveness of different PSD techniques by observing the cleaning behaviour of participants over a significant period of time while different groups use different persuasive cleaning interventions. That concludes my video presentation. Thank you very much for watching.